If you don't like it, you don't have to sing. You don't have to sing my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to play. You don't have to play my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to sing. You don't have to sing my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to play my song. I'd love to sing a song for all the children. They are our future. Can you see? Take a little time out for the baby and teach them about love, hope, and prosperity. And if you don't like it, you don't have to sing my song. And if you don't like it, you don't have to play my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to sing my song. And if you don't like it, you don't have to play my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to sing my song. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I am. I am so thankful to God for blessing me to live to see another day and for blessing you to live to see another day too. This is a day, and there's a cliche that wasn't promised to us. This is a day that wasn't promised to us. But because it is appointed that we be alive and well, this day I am so thankful to God for each of us. Dear God, as I sit before you to speak, I pray to you that my soul you will keep. And if I should die, before I finish, I pray to you, dear God, in the name of Jesus, that any outstanding sins will be forgiven. Amen. Okay, today, how do we effectively support each other? How do we effectively support each other? That's what I want to talk about today. And I have some sites that I found this information on, and I like to give this good information, wholesome information. It helps me as well as hopefully helping all those who are watching Point of View with Shirley, Cleester, Eula, and Merethah. And the ladies are out today. Cleester was going to be with me, but she has an appointment and it's right now. So she had to go to her appointment, and we totally understand that. Totally understand that. So we're going to get right into our topics, the importance of supporting each other. And I am in BetterHelp. I was in BetterHelp the other day, and I did finish that BetterHelp and the importance of supportive friendships. And the other was a different one. It was different. And Helpline is how to emotionally support someone, how to emotionally support someone, and 7 ways to support others. And this is HuffPost. 7 ways to support others during tough times. So I want to go into these, and this Psychology Today is, in helping others, you help yourself. In helping others, you help yourself. And that is a fact. Mariana Pogosian. And it could be Cyan, Pogosyan. So, and I always apologize if I mispronounce a person's name, just in case they're watching, because years ago there was one of the authors watched Point of View. Years ago, that's when well, it was after I started Point of View doing a single on here myself, and one of the authors sent me a compliment and thanked me for using her material. And then also here, it's been maybe 2 or 3 months back, I used an author's material, and I did tell him I was going to use it, and he was okay with it. He was good with it, and he said just as long as I gave him the credit. And of course, we always give credit to the people whose information we use. We always do that. No plagiarism here. And like I say, I could write, and I do write, and I can write some things. But there are so many people out here that have already written the things that are helpful to us. And so we can do our writing by compiling and using information from different sources, multiple sources. We can do that. Also, well, I take this right here as something how to help others. And these people have written this, and they have done magnificent jobs on writing this. So I am going to see the importance of having supportive friendships. And this was August the 7th in 2023. The importance of having friendship. Uh, I don't think this might be one that I've already done. Let me see here. Just in case, I'm going to go to another one. Uh, how to be emotionally supportive. And this is Healthline. So, how to be emotionally supportive. And this was written Timothy J. Legg, and it was reviewed by Timothy J. Legg, and it's by Crystal Raypole, and she updated it on the 10th of September in the year 2021. How to be emotionally supportive. And some people need support, but they are too shy to ask. And then some need it, and they don't believe that they need it. So we have to really be wise. We have to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves when we're in someone's lives and we're trying to help them as much as we possibly can. So you have to use wisdom. You have to know when, where, how, what to do and not to do. We have to know that. Okay, so I also have some information on how to politely tell people, this is none of your business. So if I get to that today, but so we have different ways that people can be emotionally supportive, and sometimes people can do more harm than good because they intend to support in their own way, but they do more harm than good. So this is very, very important that we use wisdom and that we are up to date on what's going on, and that we know what we're getting into when we're trying to go and help someone. Support comes in many forms. You might offer physical support to someone having trouble standing or walking, or financial support to a loved one in a tight spot. Support in different ways. Other kinds of support are important too. People in your life, like family members, like friends, and even close coworkers, can help lift you up emotionally by offering social and emotionally support. So it's not always the other person that needs the support. We need support too at times. We do. Yes, we do. So what is support? People show emotional support for others by offering genuine encouragement, reassurance, and compassion. And this is very important. Genuine encouragement, reassurance, and compassion. So this might include things like verbal expressions of sympathy or physical gestures of affection. And we have to know how far to go physically. Also, we have to know how far to go physically. Emotional support can come from other sources too, religious or spiritual sources, community activities, or even your pets. And I can tell you, pets are great support. They're always happy to see me when see you when you come home. And I say, if you're good to the pets, if you're good to them, yeah, always happy when you come home. Like this pet of mine, he's on my what is it, a vacation or whatever, because I'm not in Dallas, so I don't know whether I call it a staycation, not my vacation. And he's with me now, and every move that I make, he's right there with me, right there with me. So, whatever form it takes, this support can improve anyone's outlook and general wellness. So, some people have a knack for being emotionally supportive, but this skill doesn't come naturally to everyone. And see, that's why I was saying you have to be really, really careful. You have to be cautious. You have to be wise and harmless at the same time. So you can develop these skills, though, with a little practice. Keep reading, and there are 13 tips on providing quality emotional support to anyone in your life, to anyone in your life. And this is healthline.com. Healthline.com. Now, what do? We ask. When you want to provide, first step, ask. When you want to provide emotional support to someone you care about, asking a few questions is a great place to start. So that kind of opens up where I say, how do you politely tell somebody this is not your affair? Okay, so we might have time to get into that because some people be trying to get into people's business and it's not for them to do. Okay, so when you want to provide emotional support to someone you care about, asking a few questions is a great place to start. Now, just remember, you remember up here in the introduction, in the first part, it said people show emotional support for others by offering genuine encouragement, reassurance, and compassion. So we do not want to forget those, okay? So the first thing we do when we're trying to offer support, when we're offering support, ask genuinely, okay? Have a genuine concern. So when you want to provide emotional support to someone you care about, and I know I'm repeating this, asking a few questions is a great place to start. How can I support you? Can sometimes work, but it's not always the best approach. While good intentions lie behind questions like these, they sometimes fail to have the impact you desire. So you have to be genuine, you have to be compassionate, and you have to be reassuring to the person. Genuine. Show compassion, all right? So people don't always know what they want or need, especially in the middle of a difficult situation. So this question can be so broad it leaves someone unsure how to reply. So instead, try asking questions tailored to a situation or to a person's state of mind, such as, you seem a little upset today. Would you like to talk about it? The next one would be, if you choose to use this, and I know your boss was giving you a hard time or a tough time. How have you been holding up? So if you know someone has faced some challenges and are not sure how to open a conversation, try starting with some general questions such as, what's been happening in your life lately? So try to keep your questions open ended instead of asking questions that can be answered with a yes or a no. Try to keep them open ended. So, this invites an explanation and helps keep the discussion going. Thank you so much for being with me today. Now, first we did the asking, we were to ask. Now, according to Healthline right here, the next thing to do is listen. It's not enough to simply ask a question. Listening actively or empathetically is another important part of providing emotional support. So, when you really listen to someone, you give them your full attention. When you really listen to someone, you give them your full attention. Show interest in their words by displaying open body language, like turning your body toward them, relaxing your face, or keeping your arms and legs uncrossed. Avoiding distractions, like playing with your phone or thinking about other things you need to do. We have to let them know. So when we really listen, we have to really listen to someone. And these are some things that help us to let them know that we are interested in what they're saying. And then also, if we're doing the talking, then we can tell by a person's body language if they're really listening and if they're empathetic or sympathetic toward what we're saying, if they're really there for our good. All right. So avoiding distractions like playing with your phone or thinking about other things you need to do. Next, nodding along with their words or making noises of agreement instead of interrupting. We're listening now, okay? Asking for clarification when you don't understand something so they know you're listening. So when they come across something and they say something you don't understand, let them know you don't understand. That way they know that you're listening. So we're talking about how to provide emotional support, how to provide and be supportive of others. It could be financially, emotionally, whatever is needed. We need to know how to do the correct approach, the harmless approach, and be able to help someone. Next is summarizing what they've said to show you have a good grasp of the situation. So, using good listening skills shows others you care about what they're going through. For someone who's struggling, knowing that someone else has heard their pain can make a big difference. And that is so, so, so true. My goodness. Next, we've asked, we've listened. Now we need to validate, okay? Talking about support, how to provide emotional support to someone. Validate. Think about the last time you went through something difficult. You probably wanted to talk to someone about the problem, but you may not have necessarily wanted them to fix it for you or make it go away. So maybe you just wanted to vent your frustration or your disappointment and get some soothing acknowledgement in return. And some people just want you to listen, okay? So support doesn't require you to fully understand the problem or provide a solution. Often it involves nothing more than validation to know that you heard them. I'm listening to you. She was listening to me. He was listening to me. Validation. Ask, listen, then validate. People need support. Like you said, sometimes they don't know that they need it. And so that's why we have to be wise. We have to be harmless. We have to be able to read people And that's where your spirit comes in. When you can connect with people, the spirit comes in and helps you connect. I'm talking about the godly spirit, okay? Comes in because there's another spirit out of here that connects with people too. But we want the godly spirit to come in and help us connect with people so we can be a help to people. So when you validate someone, you're letting them know you see and understand the perspective. So the support people often want most is recognition of their distress. They want to know that somebody recognizes that I'm in trouble here. So when a loved one tells you about the challenges they're going through, they may not need you to jump in and help. You might offer the best support simply by showing concern and offering a caring presence. You might hear this thing rubbing up against my earring. Let me fix that. Now, some validating phrases you can use are: I'm sorry you're dealing with that situation. It sounds so painful. Another one, that sounds so upsetting. I understand why you're feeling so stressed right now. These are things you could say. Now, the next thing is, okay, we've asked, we've listened, we've validated. Now, what are we going to do? Avoid judgment. Avoid judgment. Nobody likes feeling judged. Nobody. So, someone facing a difficult situation as a result of their actions may have done some self judgment already. And that's for real. People are so hard on themselves. They make it hard on themselves. They can do more damage to themselves than anybody could do. So we have to be careful, okay? Be really, 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 really careful when it comes to dealing with people in in tender situations. I'll put it like that. So hello, Velma. Hello, Jackie. Thank you so much for being with me. And those that I don't see, thank you so much for being with me. I truly appreciate you being here today. It's such a privilege and it's an honor to have you with me today. Nobody likes to feel judged, not one of us. Someone facing a difficult situation, I know I'm repeating, as a result of their actions may have done some self judgment. Sometimes we can get ourselves into a situation and we say, I know that I'm the cause of this. So you beat yourself up emotionally, and then some people do physical harm to themselves. That's why it's so important that we really, really we're compassionate, we're empathetic, sympathetic, we're sincere. Okay? We're sincere about this, about listening to people, being emotionally supportive. This is not a thing that we can play with. It's not a thing that we can play with because people's lives and their souls are at stake. And when we come in to a place where we can help or hinder, make sure that you're prepared to help, to help, to help, all right? Because nobody likes feeling judged because we beat ourselves up so. We beat ourselves up so. So, regardless, when seeking support, people generally don't want to hear a critique, okay? Even if you offer constructive criticism with the best of intentions, sometimes they don't want to be critiqued, they just want you to listen. If they have to cry, whatever they do, cry, moan, groan, talk, scream, whatever, they want someone to listen and be there for them for that support. When offering support, try to keep your opinions on what they should have done or where they went wrong to yourself. Now, if they ask you and you have the answer, you feel like you're guided by the Spirit, to answer them and give them the answers that they need, which will help them in a positive way, then you will know what to say. Because at that same hour, that same time, the Spirit of God will give you what to say. All right? Avoid asking questions they might interpret as blaming or judgmental, such as, so what made them so mad at you? And people have a tendency to ask this, so what did you do? What did you do? So many times we have heard people turn it around on the person that's been hurt. Well, what did you do to make him so mad? What did you do to make her so mad? Did you do something? What did you do? Avoid asking these questions that might be interpreted as blaming or judgmental, because people are in a tender, vulnerable state. Even if you don't offer any direct judgment or criticism, tone, for real, can convey a lot of emotion. So your voice might share emotions you didn't intend to say outright, and that's for sure. So take care to keep notes of disapproval out of your voice by focusing on feelings like sympathy and compassion when you speak. Next, skip the advice. Skip the advice. And we're in healthline.com, being emotionally supportive to others. And I think this is some really, really good advice. Skip the advice. You've listened, you've asked, you've listened, you've validated. Now, skip the advice. Don't judge. Now we're saying skip the advice. You might think you're helping someone by telling them how to fix a problem. But generally speaking, people don't want advice unless they request it. And that's one thing I am so careful about giving out advice. And you have to really, really be careful about giving advice, because it could go one way or the other. And if it goes in a negative way, then you probably are going to get blamed for it. So this is all wisdom. This is all you have to. You have to know, you have to be trained, you have to know how to deal with people when you're trying to help them emotionally and supporting them. You might think you're helping someone by telling them how to fix the problem. But generally speaking, they don't want your advice unless they request it. So if they don't request it, be very, very, very careful and tread lightly, okay? Sometimes we could want to tell them, well, this is what I would do, this is what I would do. But we're different people. Different. Everybody is different. Everybody is different. So even when you know you have the right solution, don't offer it unless they specifically ask something like, what do you think I should do? Or do you know of anything that might help? And when they open that door, you make sure you walk in it very cautiously, very cautiously. So if they've moved from venting to talking through the problem, a better approach often involves using reflective questions to help them find solutions on their own. You might, for example, say something like, have you been in a situation like this before? What helped then? Or can you think of any specific changes that might help you feel better? This is good. This is really good. And next, authenticity over perfection. When you want to support someone, don't worry too much about whether you're providing the right kind of support. Two different people typically won't offer support in exactly the same way. That's okay though, since there are plenty of ways to support someone. So your approach might also vary depending on the person you want to support. So didn't I just say that? We're different people, different people. So instead of searching for the perfect thing to say, go for what feels natural and genuine. That's that word, genuine. An authentic expression of concern will likely mean far more to your loved one than a canned response or one devoid of true feeling. And believe me, but they say, believe you me, they know. They know when you're sincere. They know when you're authentic. We know when someone is sincere, authentic, when they're sympathetic, they're empathetic. We know, we know. So build them up. Now, the next step, build them up. Times of personal difficulty, especially ones involving rejection, can bring people down and make them doubt themselves and their abilities, and that is for real. Some people have been so beat down emotionally, and sometimes emotionally and physically at the same time. They've been down, beat down. So, times of personal difficulty, especially ones involving rejection, can bring people down and make them doubt themselves and their abilities. So if you notice someone you care for seems to be a little low, harder on themselves than usual, or going through some self doubt, a sincere compliment or two, okay, can go a long way toward improving their outlook. And that is so for real. So, when offering compliments, you want to keep a few things in mind. See, this is very tedious, this is very important. You have to be very cautious when you are providing support because there's so many areas that need to be covered at the same time. All right? So when offering compliments, you'll want to keep a few things in mind. Keep them relevant to the current situation. So, this is an example. You might remind a friend who's upset about a mistake at work about their usual pattern of success. They think about one thing, I messed this up, I messed this up, but then look at this. Look at all of this that you've done. Look at your record. Look how good your record is. Okay? Now, choose compliments that highlight specific strengths over empty compliments that might apply to anyone. Instead of simply saying, "You're so thoughtful," pinpoint what makes them thoughtful and share your appreciation for that skill. Pinpoint it. Don't gush. A well placed compliment can make someone feel great. Overdoing it can make people skeptical of the compliments or even a little uncomfortable, even when you do really mean them. So that's why I was saying you have to be careful. You have to really be careful. So support next, support their solutions. When a close friend or romantic partner believes they've found an answer to their problem, you might have some doubts about the effectiveness of that solution. So, unless their approach involves some risk of danger, it's generally best to offer support instead of pointing out the flaws in their plan. So that's why you see where we have to be wise, okay, and harmless. They may not have chosen the approach you would, but that doesn't mean they're wrong. Even if you can't see their solution working out, you can't know how things will turn out with certainty. You just don't know. Just don't know. Everybody's different, okay? Everybody takes a different approach. It might be a similar approach, but it's their own approach. It's a personal thing, okay? Avoid telling them what you think they should do, since this can sometimes undo any positive feelings from support you've already offered. If they ask what you think, you could offer some gentle guidance that might help their plan succeed. Even if they ask for your honest opinion, avoid responding with harsh or negative criticism or tearing their plan apart. This is so true. Now, the next thing we're going to do is offer physical affection. And remember, I said you have to really, really, really be careful right here. Physical attention isn't, isn't appropriate in all situations, of course. We have to know that. We're talking about how to be supportive, okay? Physical affection is not appropriate in all situations. Depending on your relationship with the person you want to support, hugs, kisses, and other intimate touches and caresses can often have a powerful impact. And have you ever, while watching television or at a movie, and you see someone is in distress, or there someone is supporting someone is talking, they're in distress emotionally and sometimes even physically, and they find somebody and somebody is caring, listening to them and supporting them, and then the next thing you know, they get closer and closer, and then I'm sitting there, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And next thing you know, they're kissing and caressing each other. That's why, depending on your relationship with the person you want to support, hugs, kisses, and other intimate touches and caresses can often have a powerful impact. And that's true. And we know that people have been supportive of people, and then they've ended up in a relationship, romantic relationship with the person, that those two, the supporter and the supportee, because of these tender moments like this. So we have to really, really, really be careful, okay? So after a difficult conversation, giving someone a hug can provide physical support that reinforces the emotional support you just offered. Holding a loved one's hand while they go through a painful procedure, receive unpleasant news, or deal with a distressing phone call can help them feel stronger. Cuddling with your partner after they've had a bad day can wordlessly emphasize your feelings for them and offer healing comfort. Now, this is where it is your partner, all right? Your partner. Avoid minimizing. Oh, this is good, isn't it? Avoid minimizing. People face all kinds, and we know this, okay? People face all kinds of unpleasant situations in life. Some of these challenges have a much broader or far reaching impact than others. It is not for anyone else to say how upset someone should or shouldn't feel about any given type of distress, because what did I say? We are all different. So I have no right to try to judge you as to how upset you should be about the situation you're going through, and vice versa, because we're different. We feel differently. We see things differently. We understand things on different levels. So it's not for anyone else to say how upset someone should or should not feel about any given type of distress. Comparing a loved one's difficulties with problems faced by other people often happens inadvertently as an attempt at consolation. You might intend to cheer up by saying things like, "It could be a lot worse," or "At least you still have a job." This denies their experience and often implies they shouldn't feel bad in the first place, and that is for real. So, what we're doing, we're avoiding the minimizing of the people that we are supporting. All right? Avoid that. Avoid it. You might intend to cheer them up by saying it could be a lot worse, at least you still have your job. They don't want to hear that. So, no matter how trivial you think someone's concern is, avoid brushing it off. Sure, maybe the lecture your best friend received from the boss wouldn't have bothered you, but you can't fully understand her or his experience or emotional response. So, it's not fair to minimize his or her feelings. It's just not fair. All right? Now make a nice gesture. This is really good. This is healthline.com. This is really, really good. So make a nice gesture. A loved one trying to manage emotional turmoil may have less mental capacity for dealing with their usual responsibilities. That's true. Because when you're in distress, there's some things that you don't even think about dealing with. And then sometimes when something happens, you say, "Oh, I forgot this. I forgot that." I know you understand what I'm saying. I know you understand. A loved one trying to manage emotional turmoil may have less mental capacity for dealing with their usual responsibilities. So, after you've listened and you've validated their feelings, you can also show compassion by helping lighten their burden if at all possible. You don't have to do anything grand or sweeping. In fact, little things can often have more impact, especially when your actions show you truly heard and understood their words. So try one of these small kindnesses. Do one of your partner's household chores, like dishes or vacuuming. Pick up lunch or dinner for a friend having a rough day. Bring flowers or a favorite beverage or snack to a sibling going through a nasty breakup. Offer to run an errand for a stressed friend or parent. Now, the next thing is plan a distracting activity. Plan a distracting activity. Some difficult situations have no solution, and that's for real. So you can listen to your loved one's pain and offer your shoulder physically and emotionally for support. You can do that. But when time is the only means of fixing their problem, you might both feel a little helpless. So you can still offer support though. Someone facing a tough situation might struggle to focus on other things. So they might want to distract themselves from distress and worry, but not know where to begin. You, on the other hand, probably have enough distance from the problem that you can come up with a few ideas to take their mind off their troubles, to ease the troubles by easing their mind, giving their mind a little space in between the trouble and them, because it doesn't take those troubles away, but then providing another thing for them to do that would help them have some pleasantry will ease that for that time, okay? You, on the other hand, probably have enough distance from the problem that you can come up with a few ideas to take their minds off the troubles. Aim for a fun, low key activity you can reschedule if they don't feel up to it. You usually can't go wrong with something you know they enjoy, like a walk along a favorite nature trail or a trip to the dog park. So if you can't get out, try a craft, household project, or game instead. Boy, this is good advice. Now, this is very important. Very, very, very. Check back in. Once you've helped a loved one explore a difficult situation, but don't just drop the matter completely. Revisiting the topic in a few days lets them know their troubles matter to you, even though you don't have any active involvement. A simple, hey, I just wanted to see how you were coping after the other day. I know it can take some time to heal from a breakup, so I want you to know I'm here if you feel like talking again. They may not want to talk about their distress all the time. That's totally normal. You don't need to bring it up every day. Please, you just don't need to bring it up every day. But it's perfectly all right to ask how things are going and let them know you care. That's very important. Thank you so much for being with me. Hello. Okay. If they've asked for advice and you have a potential solution, you can introduce it by saying, you know, I was thinking about your situation and I came up with something that might help. Would you be interested in hearing about it? See, you have to be wise and harmless. You must be wise and harmless. The bottom line, here we are, the bottom line, emotional support isn't tangible. You can't see it or hold it in your hands. And you may not notice its impact right away, especially if you're struggling. I want to say that again. Emotional support isn't tangible. You can't see it, you can't hold it in your hands, and you may not notice the impact that it has on you right away, especially if you're struggling. When you offer emotional support to others, you're telling them they are not alone. Over time, this message may have even more of a positive impact on mental health than temporary mood boosters or forms of support. And Crystal Rapol this is the author, has previously worked as a writer and editor for Good Therapy, and her fields of interest include Asian languages and literature, Japanese translation, cooking, natural sciences, sex positivity, and mental health. And in particular, she's committed to helping decrease stigma around mental health issues. This is so good. And you know what? I think, oh, wow, this is great. This is great. How do giving that support. Let me do this. One more thing here. Okay. I don't know whether I'll have time. 7 ways to support others during tough times. And this starts out with life is fragile, hard times are inevitable, and that's for real. Hard times are going to come for each and every one of us. Sometime or another, they've been, and if we keep living, something's going to happen again. So it's inevitable. Life is fragile. So at one time or another, we will all go through a difficult time, whether we deal with sickness, whether we deal with catastrophe, whether we deal with a crisis or relational breakdown. In these times, we need each other more than ever, but it's not just enough to be surrounded by people. And that is so true. Have you ever been around, I mean, in a crowd of people and you still are lonely, hurt, lonesome? Have you ever? I never will forget one time I felt like that. I just felt like breaking down. I was with my family, I was around, but I was hurt and everything. And even though I was around all those that loved me, I still felt lonely. So life is fragile. Hard times are inevitable. We're going to face these. We've already faced some, and some are coming again if we keep living. Excuse me. Number one, silence speaks louder than words misspoken. Don't ignore them. Silence speaks louder than words misspoken. I'm going to make this hour good today. Thank you for being with me. Don't ignore them. Plain and simple. If you don't know what to say, don't avoid them. Say something. 99% of what you could say is better than saying nothing at all. Instead, if you had a relationship with them, even if it was 10 years ago, a simple, I'm so sorry, or I'm thinking of you, or I'm praying for you. Just a simple quote, simple expression of care. All right? Number two, don't make them ask for help. These are ways to support others during tough times. Don't make them ask for help. Do they need help? Absolutely. Do they want to ask? Absolutely not. There is nothing more humbling than having to admit that you don't have your life under control, and for all the people pleasers out there, asking people for something as simple as meals or free babysitting is something we'd rather avoid. We'd rather tough it out than beg. And I have to say that I'm one of those people. So instead, offer your help and offer specific ways that you would like to help. Number three, don't rush them through their pain. And I tell people, even people, when people are grieving, I don't say it's going to get better, it's going to get easier. I say it will get more tolerable. Tolerable. It will get more, you'll be able to tolerate it as time goes on. And then I also say, you take the time, whatever the situation is, you take that time that that you need to grieve, to heal, whatever. You take that time because remember, we're all different. And some people try to rush people through. You need to go ahead and get over that. You need to go ahead and do this. You need to do that. Take your time. That's why we're individuals. We all have our own lives. We have our own way of dealing with things. God made us all different. And one thing about it, he takes care of all of us all at the same time. So saying things like, I know exactly how you feel, or telling me a story of your cousin's boyfriend's aunt's struggle and how she made it through. So while we may say things with good intentions, it can also serve to minimize their issue and urge them to stifle their pain. Yes, what they are going through has probably been faced before. Yes, people do survive. Yes, things might get better. Yes, to all the things. People need to know that the pain they feel is real and they need to move through it. They need to get a little messy and be a little more honest and feel a little more. Because if they move through it quickly or try to avoid their feelings, they might not heal just the right way. A doctor doesn't just give a sling with no cast to someone who has severely broken their arm. The doctor gives a cast. The doctor prescribes time for healing because they know that if the healing is rushed, the bone may not, the bone may also not heal properly. So, in the same way, we need to give time for others to move through their pain rather than rush them. So, instead, sit with them, listen, let them be honest when life is hard. Let them be angry. Let them be whatever they need to be and resist the urge to fix them, heal them, or placate them. Just be with them. That means so much when somebody's just with you. Don't give unsolicited advice. We went through that. Even if you have been in a situation before, support, but don't preach. This includes all cliche and trite phrases and platitudes. You may have heard them said before, but that doesn't mean they are helpful. And one of the things that I cannot stand is somebody supposed to be helping somebody, and then they bring up, well, so and so had that problem, and this was then this, and then they died from this, and all this kind of stuff. You heard people say that kind of stuff. I know they intend to be helping, but they can do more harm than good. Instead, listen, love, give. Give time, energy, resources. Give yourself. Just don't give advice when they haven't asked. Number 5. I think there's 7 of these. Okay. Don't give them magic formulas. Okay, 2 minutes. If they stand on their head, count to 30, twice and backwards, confess everything they have ever done, change their past mistakes. Then this tough situation would no longer be happening to them. Don't give magic formulas, okay? There is no magic formula. Life is hard and messy, and it doesn't negate the goodness in this world, but it does assign blame and guilt to the situation. One of the last things that someone who is suffering needs to be is ashamed, okay? Instead, let them know you are thinking of them, praying for them, loving them, and cheering them on. Number 6, don't make it about yourself. Oh, please don't. Essentially, don't complain about how your friend's tough time makes you feel. If you're close, you will be affected, but if they are closer to the problem, than you, then they are not the person to whom you should vent. Instead, you should offer them support, check on them, love them, let someone else support you. It's a psychologist, a psychiatrist needs a psychiatrist, okay? They need support, just like they support, just like we counselors counsel people. We need somebody to counsel us. Okay, so instead, focus on supporting them. For more on this, do yourself a favor and read. There's an article by Susan Silk and Barry Goldman for the LA Times. Number 7, don't forget that the person with all the above tips. Don't just follow them like a black and white guide. The beauty in each of us is that we are unique individuals with different backgrounds, personalities, experiences, and circumstances. Instead, consider the recipient. Some people want hugs, some people aren't touchy feely, some people want company. Some people prefer to sit alone. Some people want you to do things without asking. Some people want you to run it past them first. Some people want someone to cry with and talk to. Some people reserve that trust for a select few. Consider who they are before you act and support them accordingly. The bottom line, what is the bottom line? Love them selflessly and support them unconditionally. Or, as I remind myself, this is the author says, say a little less, love a little more. And she says, life can be messy, but with love, we can help each other survive even the toughest times. Even the toughest times. This is super. All right. I love you so much. And we are right on time. We're right at 1 hour. I love you. And God willing, I'll see you. We'll see each other here. You'll hear me on, what is it, Saturday at 7:39 p.m. and Sunday at 7 a.m. I'm going to just go ahead and close out. I love you so much. Thank you for being with me.